now it's my great privilege to introduce to you the wonderful Reverend Donna Lopez. I've known her very many years in the spiritualist community, and she does amazing work. Reverend Donna Lopez was ordained at Harmony Grove Spiritualist Association in 2007. She's author of ETS, Energetic Transmissions Through Spirit Photography, as in its second edition, whereby the nature of reality and the pool of realities as we coexist with revealed themselves to her through her connection in meditation and photography. Many who have read the book have experienced the downloads and wonderful experiences as the book's energy imparts. ETS Energetic Transmission Sessions is the YouTube channel Reverend Lopez has, where she shares weekly messages and energy forecasts, channeled messages for the month. She also does ETS Zoom sessions, whereby she works with energy transmissions where participants can experience relief from pain, often and open to new pathways in consciousness, and expand their energy field to new heights. She loves the work of healing, being with her family, spirit family, and everyone who shares the path. Let's welcome warmly, please, Reverend Donna Lopez.
That is such a mouthful. At one time, I wouldn't say anything. I just would say, just introduce me, and this was at Harmony Grove, and finally the teacher there said, Donna, you can't do that anymore. You have to have something, so, less is more usually, but as things opened up, I have more to share, right? More than I guess I knew it was about, I guess. So, it's nice to see everybody here and new faces and everything too. And hi, Diane. How are you? Oh, love you. Yes, two Dianes. Now she's sitting in Kim's chair. And when I came across the street after I parked, Kim and I were dear friends, and I worked with him quite a bit and sent him over here so that he continued to get spiritual support and the nice eclectic variety of speakers that come in here too, because that really keeps us feeling different vibrations and ideas and influences, and it brings in different people as well, so it mixes in with the core group, and it's just really beautiful. And then I walked in and I sat where Diane's sitting, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think I'm in his chair, because he had a chair he sat in, and that was his chair. And so, and it's been almost a year since he transitioned. He transitioned on 4th of July. So I was trying to think, is this today the last day that I spoke to him? But it wasn't. It was about a Thursday before he had passed, and I think it was maybe 6 days before, But he's taken his time touching in, obviously. I just had to come here. Where he's still at. Yeah. All right. So, this time when I went to sit and write whatever they wanted me to bring in, I just wasn't feeling it. I wrote it all out, and it's it was only 8 minutes long too. We're supposed to talk for 15 or 20, and I just was not feeling it. I had not had that experience much, and I thought, well, should I just, see if there's more they want to give, or add more somewhere to talk, the way I was taught. The gal was so good. She said, when you go to speak, you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So I thought, I could just tell them what I'm going to tell them and tell them what I told them, and that in between that might pad it up a little bit, but I still just was not feeling it. I've been feeling new energies coming in around me, and it has made me not feel very, balanced. Not unbalanced, just different. Mm-hmm. And so they finally got the word through, okay? Because I sat down to maybe work on the one I had, and I was like, just start over, And as I started, right away, I knew. I thought, oh my God, they're talking about me. And so anyways, the title is Seeds That Are Planted Along the Way to Sprout Later. So while a lot of what is given here is examples of things that I have experienced, Spirit is also, and they were giving it, it was like flowing. I'm thinking, after a while, I'm thinking, am I writing another book? Because it was getting to be like that. And so it starts out, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder how you are. Up above the sky so bright, like a diamond in the sky, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Now, as a child, I looked up to the stars quite a bit, and I took that song very literally. Because I just felt like I was one of those and they were one of me. They weren't separate from me. And there was just such a tangibility in those words. And the fact that later on, and I have to say, while they shared some bits about me, none of it is chronological because that's just not how it was coming in. So around the age of 10, I was making paper dolls, which was a pastime, was to play with paper dolls back in the day. And I thought, I'll just make my own. And that's what I did, but I wound up making a star. And I made all these clothes to put on my star. And she's wearing a star shirt, I'm just noticing. Oh my goodness, you knew what to do. So, Spirit has this lovely way of guiding us, letting us know our path, dropping hints along the way that will guide us later. So, this, think of all the winks, nudges, epiphanies, too many synchronicities to not pay attention to, and know that I was being led. Around the age of 8, I lived in Spain for a time, and for a bit, we lived off the base, in housing just by the ocean, by the Mediterranean Ocean. It was wonderful. It was just, there was no TV, so there's no distractions, and the energy was just really different. There would be donkeys that they'd take along the road, and they always had these backpacks on them that would have sand and gravel because they were going to go repair roads or build homes or whatever. So you would see these long lines of these donkeys through the streets. You would see a lot of older ladies, all in black, forever, I think. I just was like, wow, why are they all wearing black? Because I wasn't getting it at the time, right? But those were the sights and smells and things I was experiencing. Now, while they didn't share this part, because as I read it this morning to make sure, does it flow, does it feel okay, so I'm not stuttering up here and not going off track too much like I'm doing right now. Because I'll find that, then I just wrote about it. But I remembered that the first time we moved into our second house off of the military base, I was upstairs in my room, and I was little, I was only like 7 years old, real young, and this little boy was combing my hair, brushing my hair, and my hair, I have long hair, about like hers over there, and he says, I want to be your boyfriend. And I thought, oh, well, that's nice, right? I mean, what do you know about boyfriend at 7? But, well, after that, I went down looking for where I thought he lived, never saw him again. All that there was a sunflower in the front of the yard of the house where I thought he lived. Well, that's the spiritual flower, is the sunflower. Okay, so there's another little winky-dink there. So around 8, we had moved to the military base housing. So I walked out of that house, and I was going to explore my new neighborhood, but I wound up kind of just standing in the yard and feeling the energy. And as I stood there, I went above my body, and I looked down, and I thought, oh, you got pretty hair, and I like that Mohair sweater you're wearing, and like, you got a good vehicle this time. I got a good vehicle. Well, child doesn't use that word, but I had a good physical vehicle to work in, a body, okay? And so I carried on around the neighborhood, did my thing, but these things that happen to us as we start to open up, we start to remember all the little pieces that were left there for us. So years later, I was about 35, I think, when I had this. I had a past life regression. And the gentleman did a really good job. It was just a one-on-one session. And he didn't tell me where I was at all. He would just take me back to a certain point and, and he was writing down whatever I was saying, what I was seeing and experiencing, etc. And I saw many lifetimes and felt the energy each one brought to me. I saw people that are in my life now, and I saw our relationship and understood my relationship to that person in this time now, much more fully. I saw lifetimes where I knew why I was a certain way. I've always been not a woman's liver, but a people liver. You know, I'm all about, hello, come on in. And, just fairness and that people are treated fairly. And, sorry, this little thing's in my way. So he asked me to go beyond the life, like after I had gotten to, he said, what are you seeing? I said, nothing. And he said, go further. So I went further, and I went to where I was just stardust. Nothing but mist in space. And he said, go beyond that. And I went beyond that. And all of a sudden, all of these little children were running up and like saying hello and like, hey, she's here, so we're so happy, so happy. It felt, even today, I can feel how good it felt. And then they took me over, and the space was rather kind of yellow golden hinted. And they took me over to this gentleman that was standing there in a robe, and his hands were out, he was just, smiling. And they were kind of like, hey, there he is, or whatever, here's his vibe. And so he took my hands and just held my hands. And I just remember feeling connected and supported and like accepted. And that's a really big thing, to feel accepted. Not by others, but by yourself, although he was coming through as another, right? I can't say that I identified him as Jesus, but as I was reading it this morning, here I am off space again, I thought, one of the songs that I always loved was Jesus Loves the Little Children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. And I used to sing it to my kids when I would say their prayers with me. And all of a sudden I kind of thought, maybe that one is Jesus. So I was just now getting that hint that, but I didn't feel the need to identify, which was, they're going to show you what you have comfort with. Jesus was my first teacher, but there were many times before all of this where I was seeing and experiencing a lot of different things. I just didn't know how to, where it fit, but it was very different. So, after that, I met a friend at church and went to church for the church service, a couple hours, and I came home and I went to sleep for 3 hours. Now, at that age, I don't take naps, never do, but I know that, I was really getting the full effects of the vibrations and the energy and everything I experienced. Because whatever you're made for in this lifetime, they're supplying it for your vibration so that you can fulfill whatever that vibration is. So this is spirit. Simple syrup is all they say. It's simple, simple, stir it, so they say. Life is simple, and you are to be guided, joined by forces from the unseen, all a part of creation. Puzzle pieces that reflect a life well lived and well learned, as the learnings are many. Structures are built up to secure our voyage in this lifetime. The parents one will have, the siblings or lack thereof we might have, the neighbors placed around us, the hurts, the wounds, the conditions we might live with inside our little selves can be varied. Many have no conditions like that. Some people, they just have the most loving, supportive parents, and and as a parent, I know that we do the best we can, and we just do different things to not mess our kids up than what was done to us, but we do mess them up. And it's okay, that's our being humbled back, okay? And so while others may come in molded a certain way, perhaps to have that groundedness or that self-awareness so that they can fulfill other things for the collective, maybe on a larger scale, or be more focused in what career path they might be doing. None of us go without having lessons, and lessons are not punishments. So, after this period of time, I worked the 800 line, the psychic call center in 1991. And I was there for about a hot minute. But I remember my spiritual teacher, my mentor, saying, honey, you don't want to do that. That's not what your spirit people want for you. Because under the umbrella and structure that she, grew up within, let's just say, experience for her growth in this lifetime, that was not something that you do. It wasn't that it was bad. It was that perhaps it wasn't giving respect to the work or to your teachers and guidance. So, but I knew I was being guided. Because one thing I've always been is somebody that is independent. That I know what I need to do for me. I know what feels right and what to do. And even if I'm going to fall down, I'm going to get back up, And so I followed the guidance I was getting. And not long after that, she said, honey, do you think they'd have room for me? Because I told her I was having a good time. Now this was funny because I don't read cards, but I'll pull a card after I do a message sometimes just because it adds to whatever. But the cards are useful for teaching. I used to use them in my classes a lot with people to help us develop, and understand symbols and things of that nature. So I brought my packet of cards in there thinking I'm going to be able to, and I didn't know how to use them, right? Well, that phone was ringing off the hook. So I didn't have a chance to do that. And so, it's like every 15 minutes, as soon as you set it down, you got another phone call. But what happened is it made me just kind of go in the flow. And that's what they needed, because I might have tried to dissect or try to make myself be sort of like a little robot doing things a certain way, and that's not good. You really, for me personally, I needed to be more fluid, And each of us will learn our own way, because there are others who learn with the cards, or minerals, crystal bowls, and that's the vibrations that help us. So both of us did short stints, but I learned a lot about other people, their development, their intuition and mediumship, or lack thereof. Many only thought of it as an aspect of who they were, like, yeah, it's just what I do, no big deal. They didn't think of it in spiritual terms at all. And others had, it was just an opportunity to work for entertainment purposes only. And others were burned out, wayward, and looking for connection, or it was just a way to earn a living, But then there were guides, healers, mother, father, earth type nurturers that were there, that they were in their happy place doing their work. Because no matter what or how you work, if you are working, and I mean even if you're washing dishes, there's nothing wrong with it. It's very meditative, number one. Your spirit guides will come in and talk to you. They will start saying, who we cleaning here, the dish or you, and or you catch yourself like daydreaming off in a place that's like not going to feed your soul in the best way, and they redirect you, So in every moment we can be connected that way. So yes, as I said, it was what Spirit wanted me to experience, and Spirit is my lead. Now onto other stories. You like stories, don't you? Okay, so let's go over the rainbow. That too was a milestone marker, the Wizard of Oz. Who loved the Wizard of Oz? Oh my God, so magical. So magical. And I was about 5 years of age, I think, when I first saw it. My mom would make red candy apples. I mean, the hard kind that are real candy, right? And I think she loved it as much as I did. And that movie made quite an impact on me. And again, I was all in. It was real. I could feel it. I was excited by it. I was involved in the images as a part of myself and a part of a very mystical, magically colorful experience, because everything was feeding us, you know. Remember Glenda the Good Witch? And she came through in a giant orb, kind of like a bubble, very clear, but with all the rainbow bubble shades on it, but it was an orb. Imagine that. So wink, wink, right? Here I am taking pictures of orbs later on in life, right? And yeah, and also I'm getting another remembering here is that I did wind up using these inner child cards where the fairy tale stories would speak to the inner child, and one of them was the Wizard of Oz. So it gave this symbolic meaning of like the scarecrow and the lion and Dorothy. And very often those images will come in when I am reading for someone, you know, I'll know that they're telling me whatever that symbol means for me, as many of us have. So life is full of surprises, so be surprised to be surprised. You know, just remember all the time Spirit's wanting to open things up more so we can see more, experience more. You see, many of you have grown stale and forgotten the magic, the mystery, and the eye-opening, widening of our scope of life we have to experience. There are worlds beyond worlds to explore. Many you can see in meditation as you are eased into different understandings through your experiences in meditation, so that later you may see those encounters more vividly in your waking life. So if you see something in meditation, that's what's so good about a group meditation, because people share and then we're like, oh, okay, well that's interesting. You know, we understand what an image is, or even we understand more fully what that is, that it's not just an image, that it's actually something that exists in another dimension that we can have access to and will have access to and can see and can experience. But we have to be okay with that experience. Not attached to it, or shaken by it, or affected by our Hollywood way of, you know, things being spooky and all those things. Life is an open door of exploration. Some explorations are a bit unnerving, and you wonder how or if you'll get to the other side of it. But you see, it is a mystery after all, filled with the unknown that becomes known when you are aligned with the guidance that has always been with you and around you. Today is a day of forgiveness. This is Spirit saying this for me. A day to let go of the hate at which you rate yourself and others. Well, that was pretty harsh. I was like, ooh. Shame is a wet blanket to have yourself covered in. Yet that wet blanket is ready to be relieved of its duty, which was simply to allow you to understand that these feelings drag down your vibration, and that you were never meant to weigh yourself against another, or even against another version of yourself. Just know that you just know is better than this one. Many people, you know, will say, oh, I was just my best self in 1990, or I was my best self when I lived there, or I was my best self when I was in that relationship. What are we doing? We're keeping that thread connected and laid down over in that other space. Focusing on your purpose of being here is helpful. Placing your smaller, younger self on your lap to get a hug from the grown-up you that is still trying very, very hard to do your very, very best. Now that part I almost wanted to cry, because it's true, we are so hard on ourselves. Remember, everyone is doing this to some degree, trying to love and accept themselves so they may better love others. We encourage you to stay there in the comfort of self-acceptance with humility and grace for one another, as you're all on a different path of knowledge. So back to Glenda the Good Witch. I even have a friend with that name. Wasn't Glenda all kinds of glittery and special magic? So years later, after my ordination in 2007, And after many years of studying and learning about myself, my blessing at my ordination, part of that is that you bless yourself and you give a blessing to the Creator and you ask for what it is you want. And I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to step out. I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do. Because years before that, I would constantly point, oh, go see them, or you should go talk to them. They would come to me. They wanted to do meditation with me. They wanted me to teach them. I was like, no, I wasn't ready and I didn't feel qualified, but still, I was still growing and learning, which I'm still growing and learning, but you also learn by doing, you know. So from there on, with that vow to not hide and to take up whatever was presented with, came new openings, new blessings. When you dedicate yourself to the Creator, get ready. And by the way, it doesn't take an official ordination. We dedicate ourselves to the Creator to be the best parent, best friend, best version of ourselves, best at your vocation, whatever it is. You know, they're listening. They're always listening. Free will, free choice. You have to ask. The universe is always listening. Many of you are aware I wrote a book about spirit photography and the energy it produced within me as a myriad of mystical visuals came into being, orbs galore, just like Linda. I called the orbs the collective consciousness because there are many energies within the orbs that have appeared again. And the seeds were being planted all along with Linda, no less. Now what was interesting is when we got done with meditation and came up here, Rosemary said, where's the camera? And I said, she goes, and they were going, what? She goes, there's a camera up here. I saw the flashing. In my mind, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of my spirit photography, you know, which I'm talking about, you know. So funny how they weave it all together. Life is giving you an opportunity to know yourself and others more fully. But knowing what you don't know and what is yet to unfold allows an opening to expand your awareness into the many mysteries that surround us. Remember, Spirit does nothing to disturb your peace. You must be grounded and open. That means you must feel safe, secure. And maybe we're not ready to open a door all the way, just like I was. And I just was like, let me just get a peek. Okay, I'll put that foot in. Okay, I'll hold a friend's hand as I go along. You know, and then all of a sudden, I'm the hand others are holding, you know? So. Release old fears. Do not absorb anything you do not wish to encounter. For what you feed your energy is what is reflected in your surroundings. At this time in our planetary history, much is unfolding. Much seems like it's been placed in a washing machine that is wonky and been spit out in another part of the world. You know, it was funny because before I got to talk, I was thinking, how would you about, you know, if a washing machine is wonky, usually you got to open those legs up, make them longer, right? You got to secure the foundation. You have to feel safe and you have to feel secure. But right now, we don't know. It's shifting. It's changing. We're being shaken awake, lovingly and gently, although very harsh for others. So bring in the comfort, the care, the prayers for peace as Gaia gently rocks us aware. Slow and steady, be kind to yourself so you can be kind to others. With much joy and acknowledgement for all your dear hearts, One Feather and Donna's team. I like how this is it. And then One Feather's been doing a little blurb after, but he just said, my peace I give you. So, thank you all very much.